Thank you for joining me today and welcome. Welcome to my new home here in Scottsdale, Arizona. Today I would like to share with you information that I've used to determine where I am along in my spiritual journey. We live in a life filled with many circumstances that can become distractions from our true purpose. Today I'll help you identify thoughts and beliefs that may be blocking you from living a joyful life. I've conducted hundreds of in-depth interviews with my hypnosis clients. These interviews encompass someone's entire life in past circumstances. These interviews reveal blocks preventing my client from achieving a fulfilling and a joyful life. These blocks can be mental, emotional, and physical, including physical limitations from illness or from accidents. Through in-depth conversations, my clients learn a new perspective about themselves and their life. As a consequence of these interviews, I've concluded 4 spiritual directions each one of us considers each day. The fulfillment and the joy that we feel in our life is dependent upon the directions that we choose to focus. The 4 directions are these: singularity or our individual selves, oneness with others, and the material or spiritual worlds. Singularity is the focus or the direction towards oneself. Oneness is the focus of our attention within a group physically or within a belief. The 3D material world is the world that we see around us, including the descriptions of this world that make sense scientifically. Spiritual is the direction of considering a part of ourselves and our world that isn't seen, but we're aware of some kind of power coming from this direction. Each direction contains a specific vibration and energy. We can spend time in any one of these directions for a period of our life, or in and out day by day or moment by moment. These directions are a necessary part of our life's journey. Through opposing forces and polarities, we gain awareness and knowledge of ourselves and others as spiritual beings. Our emotions and thoughts are vibrations and energy that we create within ourselves. Today I'll be talking about emotions and thoughts that have become a part of someone's belief system. Just like the cellular memory of a person practicing a particular sport, our body converts repetitive thoughts and actions into cellular memory. We train our body how to do something and it just begins to do it automatically. A person may be described as a loving person where every life circumstance in their life is viewed in a loving way. This loving viewpoint didn't just happen. It's an automatic response based on many previous events where they've reacted to life in a loving way. Sometimes how someone reacts in an argument is a better judge of them than when they do something good. Because the argument is typically an unplanned event, the reaction to the argument is based on long-held beliefs. Today, let's look at how we train our minds and our bodies and how it affects our life. In the lower left-hand corner, combining singularity in the material world, this is a quadrant representing the individual, alone in success or failure. Their belief is approval from others comes through material objects, personal accomplishments, or intellectual status. Many people in this quadrant identify themselves as self-made. Even though this person is fortunate enough to live in a civil society and has access to resources provided by society such as roads, clean drinking water, and a reliable legal system, they still regard themselves as self-made. The unsuccessful in the material world are here too, and their unsuccessful life becomes their memorized story and their belief about life. They are deeply rooted in the physical body and their lack of something. The lack is now a belief about themselves and the world around them. People in this sector have not awakened to the mystical, spiritual part of themselves. They believe they are alone as a singular being in this life. And life is just a road they're on for no other purpose than to survive and gain in success or wallow in their lack of material or intellectual success. I always ask clients to describe to me their most spiritual experience, a time when they felt something unseen helped them in some way or prevented them from harm. I've had middle-aged clients and older tell me they've never had a spiritual experience, that nothing has ever helped them in any way. It is sad to see a person with such a limited view of who and what they are. I get referral clients in this area also. Typically, the client has experienced a tragedy or a loss, or is living an uncontrollable life, sometimes fueled by drugs and alcohol. Parents, family, and friends attempt to help this person by booking them a session and hoping to save them from themselves. I've had several suicidal clients in this sector who are so focused on their physical body and emotions, they can't see any way out of their pain and suffering. I've been able to help clients in this sector. One client said they had never felt this light. They felt a sense of being lighter because they had released the heaviness of this world momentarily during their hypnosis session. Through hypnosis, they felt a different part of their existence, a spiritual higher self where judgment does not exist. Illusionary selves in the social media world also reside in this sector. Our material world is a temporary illusionary world. The reason it's illusionary is that everything in the material world has been created in the spiritual world first. Our perception of it by our eyes and by touch are based in a spiritual reality, not a physical reality. Without a spiritual being running our body, the ability to see and touch does not exist. If experiencing life can only happen through our spiritual self, then all of life's problems are spiritual problems, not physical. By not accepting the spiritual aspect of our lives, a person is relying on an illusionary world as a place of permanency and consistency, and neither one are true. Relying on the material world without a spiritual element always creates pain and suffering. So moving on to the lower right-hand corner of oneness and the material world. This is a quadrant with many of the same elements as the lower left, but the process for approval is more subtle. During my client interviews, I can tell how entrenched a person is in the material world by the way they describe their life. In this sector, their description of their life comes from a description decided upon and approved by group consensus. It's not terminology that comes from themselves. They use terminology to describe their life created by society or a group, and by using this terminology, they gain acceptance. This is where their acceptance and approval from others lies. Identifying or terming a life circumstance seems to imply there's a solution, or that humans will no longer behave in that manner, and neither one are true. My clients in this sector are just beginning to glimpse something other than the physical material world and its solutions to their problems. Through focused conversation, many clients begin to see their role and how their focused thoughts and emotions have played into creating their life. I've had clients describe a toxic relationship they've been in for maybe 5, 10, or 15 years, and they realized there must have been a part of them that was toxic to stay in such a situation. Some clients tell me they've never been happy in their entire life because of being raised in a dysfunctional family. After stating this, I reminded one of my clients that he had just told me minutes ago how happy he was to visit his grandmother in the summertime. He smiled and said, "That must be my problem." He realized that how he spoke about his life was actually creating it. His life circumstance was not fully caused by being raised by dysfunctional parents 20 years ago. Sadly, the oneness that someone feels by simply using the same terminology as others to describe their life has not resolved their problems. I see my clients in this sector begin to acknowledge their internal, powerful spiritual self. They begin to take control of their life and no longer seek the approval of society or others. When I begin to feel uncentered in my life, I can usually contribute my uneasy feelings to being in one of these quadrants, focusing on my physical circumstance and something external, not considering my true, powerful spiritual reality. In the upper left-hand corner, combining singularity and the spiritual world, we enter the mystic world, the world that doesn't make sense, the unexplained quantum world. Even though humans have created a field of study to explore this world, we still know nothing about the causation of anything in our universe. We won't learn about this world until we view life as a planned event, not a theoretical causation of circumstance and coincidence. Our search in the quantum world should be to find the planner and that energy and align ourselves with that power. Our physical bodies heal themselves in many ways. In finding a person's true self in the unseen quantum world, we can begin to use this powerful force to heal. Heal wrong thinking about the past and removing energy blocking the true self from emerging. I see people in this sector trying to find the truth about themselves and their purpose. This has come to the forefront more prominently because of the pandemic and quarantine. Many do not want to go back to a world of group consensus and approval. Being away from the office and work activity has given people time to think and to find their true selves and their purpose. Not a purpose defined by others or approved by others. I've been surprised at my young clients. At one time I had 6 clients in a row who were below the age of 26. One had just turned 21 the day before their session. All claimed they felt like strangers in this world. Like their older counterparts, they wanted to know their true purpose beyond the material things and the illusionary images and selves that we see on social media and in the institutionalized media. Connecting with our higher selves is not a static event. Once made, gaining knowledge and understanding and observing synchronicities continues to occur. The connection to our higher selves is an expansive and ongoing process. Moving on to the last sector, spirituality and oneness. This direction may seem to be an impossible life to live, but I meet many people living this life all the time. The primary focus here is a person's spiritual purpose and their faith. Many times people in this sector don't talk much about their purpose or their faith because they're actually living it. It reminds me of living in Central Europe years ago. Grocery stores closed at 5 or 6 p.m. In some countries, women didn't work after 5 p.m. because they needed to be home with their families in the evening. Men were given the same time off as women when a new baby was born. The interesting part of this was that nobody ever talked about family values in political campaigns or personally because they were actually living it and they didn't need to proclaim it to anyone. For people in this sector, sharing their personal story of spiritual awakening and helping others is common, but proclamations to convince others is not. People in this sector exist in truth. A person's story of awakening can trigger an awakening in others, but it can never be done by force. The fear of not fulfilling a story of an illusionary false self that is successful and wealthy and powerful does not exist. Greed, selfishness, and power over others is not valued in any way. Wealth and respect from others can still be obtained, but it comes through humble appreciation and gratefulness for all of life and all of life's circumstances. This is where many of my clients go after their sessions. They gain certainty and confidence. They don't just talk about living life, they actually begin doing it. The most common change I see in my clients is the lessening or removal of fear in their life. Fear and faith cannot exist at the same time. I see clients doing things in their life that they've been too afraid to do in the past. Leaving jobs and relationships that they dislike, gaining a different positive perspective of all of their life events. No longer viewing life as good or bad, just events to learn from and gain knowledge. Many travel to places that they've always wanted to go, or they get the job of their dreams. The list of amazing changes I've seen in clients can go on and on. With the vacancy of the illusionary worlds of singularity and the material world removed from your life, your strong spiritual self can come in and miracles can begin to happen. Miracles come because in the spiritual world there is no limitation like there is in our physical existence. I hope this video has helped you identify thoughts and emotions that may be blocking you from living a fulfilling and joyful life. I'll be doing follow-up videos on other topics such as meditation and manifesting to help you strengthen your connection to the amazing and the expansive spiritual world. I look forward to speaking to you again, and I wish you many blessings.